Here's your First Warn Weather Forecast First, sponsored by Anderson Collision Center. Visit driveanderson.com.
A messy evening of precipitation across the state line as we have seen some freezing rain along with some rain, and even earlier today some instances of sleet and even a few snow flurries. Right now many spots have still seen a lot of that rain. Now the heavier rainfall rates will slowly ease up any slick spots that we have out there, but our temperatures are still hovering just above freezing. We're still sitting in the low or mid 30s for many of us, 33 in Galena, Rochelle, and DeKalb, 35 in Rockford. But our surface temperatures, the ground and those roadways may still be at that freezing mark, allowing for some slick spots to linger for at least a little bit longer. Our temperatures will slowly be climbing through the night, allowing for any of those slick spots to slowly fade away into the evening, but they still could remain for a bit longer. I'll break down the latest on our timing of how long that precipitation will stick around coming up in just a moment.
Right now at 6, an interesting way to celebrate the holidays, continuing the Halloween season with a spooky way to shop. Plus giving to those in need the continued tradition of handing out winter coats and more from volunteers in a local community center. And speaking of giving back, one State Line resident gives back to children with cancer after a shared experience. How she plans to celebrate Christmas cheer this holiday season.
Live from WTVO 17, this is Eyewitness News at 6.
Good evening, I'm Rhiann Weil. Thanks for joining us tonight. It's been raining much of the afternoon with temperatures right around that freezing point. The winter weather advisory for our area has just expired. Let's head right over to meteorologist Jordan Wolf for a look at how things are now. Jordan.
As you mentioned, that winter weather advisory just expired not that long ago, and we are still seeing a lot of that rain that is falling. Some of that still sticking to the ground in the form of some ice. A look at where our temperatures currently sit places many spots in those low or mid 30s, hovering very close to or just above that freezing mark. That will remain the case here through at least the next few hours, and that will allow the potential for some slick spots to remain out there. Our road conditions, as reported from the Departments of Transportation here in Illinois and well as Wisconsin, showing many spots either underneath partly or mostly covered roads with either snow or ice, especially when you look across far northwestern Illinois, Joe Davies, Stevenson, and Carroll counties seeing the worst of those road conditions here in the short term. As you mentioned, that winter weather advisory was allowed to expire for northern Illinois, but remains in effect for southern Wisconsin through midnight tonight, where we could still see some of those spots hovering just a few degrees above that freezing mark for a little bit longer. Going to Futurecast now, an idea of how things may play out the rest of the evening tonight. Slowly seeing that transition from what lingering mixed precipitation we have into rain, and some of these heavier or even steady rainfall rates may allow for a little bit less on the ice as we head through the evening tonight. But nonetheless, still many reports of slick locations out there, and I expect that to remain the case at least for a few more hours as our temperatures continue to slowly rise, eventually getting back up near that 40-degree mark later on into the night tonight. We are left then with some lingering drizzle and possibly even some patches of fog as we head into tomorrow morning. I'll let you know how long those may stick around coming up in my full weather in just a little bit.
All right, thanks for the update, Jordan. Today, those in the community got to honor their veteran family members by placing a wreath down at a local cemetery. The public was welcome to place wreaths for their loved ones at Greenwood Cemetery as a way to honor those who have fought for our freedom. The event was run by the Rockford Chapter National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. The wreaths were placed and moments of silence occurred for each veteran honored. Organizers said that it's a small act of showing a great appreciation, and about 543 wreaths were placed at the cemetery today from the community. Christmas is right around the corner, but one Rockford shop is keeping Halloween going with a scary sale. Blake Dietz went to Wolf Hollow gift shop to shop with serial killers.
Ghosts, ghouls, and horror icons stalk Wolf Hollow gift shop in Rockford for the store's holiday shopping with serial killers.
We actually came up with the idea in 2019, but COVID hit and we couldn't do it. But yeah, we just wanted to do stuff that other gift shops weren't doing, and this was a perfect opportunity for it. It was Christmas.
Co-owner Randy Wolf is dressed as Leatherface. He's joined by killers Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, and Art the Clown. He says the event is one of the best times of the year, bringing in people looking for something a little different.
Just seeing all the people's faces as they come in and want to take pictures with you. And it's most enjoyable to see the kids enjoying themselves.
Shoppers Bianca Garcia and Tiffany Kroll Garcia say it's the perfect day for horror fans.
I think it's just definitely unique. It's something that draws us in because it's so different and it's geared towards our interest in it. So
definitely, yeah, it's definitely unique. Like the store itself, Wolf Hollow is very unique compared to other.
Wolf also opened the store for local artists to display their wares. He says dressing as a killer doesn't mean you can't have a heart.
We love, giving back to the community, and also giving a platform to local artists who don't have a platform other than like social media. And this is where you get to come in and actually see them and, see what they do, all they do. And
See you later.
Reporting in Rockford for your home team, I'm Blake Dietz.
Continuing with the holiday spirit, Rockford community members were offered breakfast with Santa and a chance to receive some winter necessities this morning. Free children's coats, toys, haircuts, flu and COVID shots, and much more were given out today at the Northwest Community Center. This is the second year for the event. Lots of residents showed up to spread holiday cheer and appreciate the gifts given away. Executive Director of the center, Nicole Fricks, says the turnout was much more than they expected, and she couldn't be happier to help serve her community.
It brings me great joy to see all these individuals here today. We were only planning to feed 300. As you can see, we got way more than 300 individuals here, but it just brings me great joy to see individuals come out and take part in this community event.
The community center has been around for 76 years, serving the Rockford area and providing needs to residents. Fricks says she expects the event to continue in the future. And today, local kids from RPS 205 hit the shopping aisles of Target with law enforcement for some holiday shopping. The Rockford Police Benevolent and Protective Association helped kids pick out warm clothing, special toys, and gifts. This has been a tradition for the past 31 years, and police officers say it is one of their favorite things to do. One officer says it's the perfect opportunity to get out in the community and form deeper connections with the residents.
This is a chance for officers to build relationships with people in the community in a positive environment instead of, the normal calls for service that we typically get. So that's the biggest thing, is just building those relationships with kids in the community and then being able to give back to, some of the families that need it the most.
Officer Watson says this year there were 139 kids that they helped, which is a new record. Even more holiday celebrations, as today local children with cancer got to celebrate the holiday season in a special way dedicated just for them. Activities like temporary tattoos, face painting, treats, hair tinsel, and much more brought smiles to dozens of children's faces this afternoon. Toys and donations from the event were given directly to charity. This event runs annually to help make an impact on those battling cancer to help make their holiday season unforgettable. The inspiration for the event is nothing short of inspiring itself.
They told me and my parents that I wouldn't make it past 10 years old. And so it was like this was the last Christmas that she was going to ever have and everything. And then K Cancer came in and they provided for our family like toys and everything like that. And so once I started feeling better, I wanted to give back. And so that's why we do this toy drive every year.
Robertson says her and her parents wrap all of the toys themselves and distribute gifts to children and their families on Christmas Eve each year. Coming up next, the latest over in Syria after the Assad regime was overthrown. How one American held captive begins his return home. That's next.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Rhiann Weil, Drew Collins, and meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
After 7 months of captivity, rebels have overthrown the brutal regime of Bashar al-Assad, whose family had ruled the country since 1971. The Biden administration says the U.S. has been in contact with Syria's new Islamist leaders. Here's ABC's chief international correspondent, James Longman, with the latest from Damascus.
After being held captive in Syria for the past 7 months, American Travis Timmerman is now a free man. Seen in this video being escorted out of a van and into the hands of US military at a remote US base in southeastern Syria on Friday before being flown to Jordan. The world learning of Timmerman when this video surfaced earlier this week, showing him describing how he was rescued from a Syrian prison by rebel fighters.
I was imprisoned in a cell by myself. They took a hammer and they broke my door down.
His release following the fall of Bashar al-Assad's totalitarian regime in Syria. Thousands of Syrians celebrating as they gathered at the historic Umayyad Mosque for Friday prayers.
How does it feel seeing everybody celebrating today?
They are
fantastically happy. We can feel now the breath of freedom.
The interim Prime Minister addressing the crowd, saying it is the birth of a nation, the restoration of dignity and the writing of history. Assad ousted by the rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken says the US has had direct contact with HTS, which it considers to be a terrorist organisation, but the US has signalled it would recognise a future Syrian government under certain conditions.
The transition process should be Syrian-led and Syrian-owned and produce an inclusive and representative government. Syria should not be used as a base for terrorist groups or others who threaten Syria's people, its neighbours, or the world.
Well, diplomatic activity is now ramping up as regional powers try to figure out how to deal with this new rebel group. Qatar, the latest country who will send a delegation. James Longman, ABC News in Damascus.
Some wet and icy conditions out on the road for us today. When we come back, meteorologist Jordan Wolf is in to tell us the weather we can expect for the rest of our weekend. Stay with us.
Now, your First Warn weather forecast from meteorologist Jordan Wolf.
Messy picture on our precipitation when we look with satellite and radar. A lot of rain and with mixed precipitation also. We're seeing a lot of these colors indicating where we have the green is rain, pink is where we have some mixed precipitation, including some freezing rain, and then the blue from earlier today is where we even had some snow showers. Now, when we're looking at our temperatures were slowly climbing while this precipitation was coming. So we see many of our numbers sitting in the low 30s initially and then slowly rising into the mid 30s. Now, that said, our surface temperature actually at the pavement or the ground, likely a couple degrees cooler than that, which is what is allowing for still many slick spots to develop across the state line. The latest road conditions from the Illinois and Wisconsin Department of Transportation reporting either partly snow-covered, ice-covered roads for many of our counties outside of far northwestern Illinois, where we have mostly ice-covered roads out in Joe Davies, Carroll, and into Stevenson counties there. That was updated as of 5:50 p.m. You can also go to our website, mystateline.com, for the latest web article, and you can see where you can find the links to check the latest road conditions on those spots as well. Locally, with many of our Mercy Health SkyTrack cameras, it doesn't look all that bad. Mainly just wet roads when we look with some of our bridges and overpasses, but any untreated surfaces likely can become snow or ice covered when we have temperatures like this, and that's why we have the potential for that freezing rain to allow for some slick spots to continue to develop. Our temperatures, though, will be continuing to rise through the night, eventually even getting close to 40 degrees through the early part of tomorrow morning. So any rain that we have from here on out will actually benefit us to help slowly melt away any ice that we have built up as those temperatures continue to climb. Gradually speaking, we will have improving road conditions from here on out going into the morning hours as those temperatures continue to climb. However, that next weather system then passes directly overhead. You see the center of it actually into portions of northern Missouri. The center of that system going to pass directly overhead through the overnight hours, and as it does so, it will continue to bring us the chance for some patches of drizzle, but also the potential for some areas of fog, especially after midnight once the rain comes to an end. You see the visibility with Futurecast here indicating where we could see some spots of areas of fog. Now, I do think this overdoes that visibility just a little bit. I do think that we'll have some spots not quite near zero visibility, but there will be some patches, if not areas of fog, throughout much of the overnight hours and possibly even going into the middle of the day tomorrow before that fog finally starts to break up shortly after noon. So we will see our temperatures continue to rise from here on out, eventually hitting 43 for tomorrow. Cloudy and mild, the story, fog and drizzle very early on. And that's what we look with Futurecast here. That system is on the way out, but we still hold on to a lot of that cloud cover and the potential for some patches of fog through at least the middle of the day tomorrow. Our next weather system bringing us the next chance for some isolated to scattered rain showers late Sunday night going into the early part of Monday. We do have a little bit of an up and down pattern as we head into the early to middle parts of next week. Still mild in the short term, 43 to 46 for Monday. Then back down into the 30s for Tuesday, low 30s as we head into the middle of the week, and then a few days in the 20s with our next slim chance for a few snow showers with our next weaker system that passes as we head into Thursday.
All right, thanks, Jordan. Well, Drew's in next with sports. The Blackhawks were up in New Jersey taking on the Devils. We'll check out those highlights. And we'll hear from Rockford native Fred Van Vliet on his semifinal Cup game tonight.
Now sports with Drew Collins.
The Bears are preparing for their Monday night match with the Vikings. Unfortunately, the Bears are dealing with a lot of injuries heading into the game. The main issue being the strain at the running back position. Roschon Johnson has been placed out, and DeAndre Swift is also questionable. Interim head coach Thomas Brown spoke regarding the situation.
Obviously, the running back spot is a very volatile position when it comes to what those guys are actually do, the amount of contact that happens with that position. But plus also kind of get the run game going as well, keep guys fresh, rotate throughout the entire game so we can keep that ball rolling with that.
Fred VanVleet and his Houston Rockets are preparing for their NBA Cup semifinal game tonight. They'll face the Oklahoma City Thunder. Tip-off is 7:30 right here on ABC. Fred spoke about his team chemistry and preparation for the big game.
And we still are a young group playing together, figuring it out. We got young players. We haven't been together that long, still finding out what works. Guys are still figuring out their own games. But as long as we guard, on a night-to-night basis, you always have a chance to win. And, the goal in mind, obviously, is to have a better flow and rhythm and be able to find that rhythm.
Let's skate our way northeast over to the New Jersey Devils. They hosted the Blackhawks today. It was scoreless up until late in the second period. Jason Dickinson smashes this to the goalie. It's reflected up and off a Devils player's face, and it goes right into the net. What a play. It wasn't long after that for the Devils to answer. Hughes gives it to Dawson Mercer, and he ties it up in the second period. And the man who just got his assist, well, now he's going to have a chance to score. Luke Hughes takes the lead for New Jersey, and they wouldn't look back. The Devils win 4-1. The 20th ranked Badgers took on the Butler Bulldogs after losing 3 straight games. Butler kept it close in the first half. That's Pierre Brooks with a nice fader. Last shot before halftime, and check this out. Max Klesmit swishes it. He had 11 points on the game. Second half action. Butler started to fight back. Tell for it between the legs crossover all the way to the hoop. But Wisconsin's offense started to heat up, and they ran away with this one. The Badgers take it 83-74. The Fighting Illini are currently battling out the top-ranked team in the country. Tennessee is loaded with talent this year and are currently undefeated. But we might have an upset alert here as the Illini have played well. They are currently leading 52-46 with about 9 minutes left in the game. If they can pull this one off, it would shock the country. I'll have the highlights tonight. In about 30 minutes, the puck drop will be over at the BMO Center. The Ice Hogs host the Iowa Wild, and of course, it's Teddy Bear Toss night. Good luck to the Hogs and the Teddy Bears. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, I have to give a little shout out to my older sister. She just graduated from Northern Illinois actually today with her master's in education. Isn't that great?
That's
I love
awesome.
teachers. She's like the best third grade teacher I know. So had to give her a little shout out.
I'm assuming with the weather, it was inside an arena?
Yeah, it was in their convocation center, I think is what they call it. Yeah, so it was inside there. My family was all in DeKalb, so little connection to our Rockford area.
Not too
here.
far away.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was warm enough in there, but it was definitely slick outside. I mean, it was warmer, but we had that like freezing rain.
Right.
So
Yeah, we've still seen some pockets of this freezing rain, freezing drizzle. It might stick around for a little bit longer, but gradually speaking, our temperatures will continue to rise here through the night. We are left with at least a little bit of that there on the First Warn Interactive Radar from Rockford Glastonbury. Some patches of slick spots may be possible even roughly through the midnight hour, as our temperature is still hovering only a few degrees above that freezing mark. Our temperatures continue to rise from there, eventually hitting the 40s tomorrow, but that could lead to some patches of fog overnight and going into the early part of Sunday morning. Another chance for some drizzle, possibly early into the afternoon, and then our next chance for rain late Sunday night into Monday, followed by another cool down back in the 30s and 20s.
all right, thanks Jordan, and thank you for joining us. Have a great night.